the other day sent me a link for a documentary on Channel 4 by Dr. Max Pemberton discussing is there a myth around ADHD? And it was really interesting because this documentary looked into the medication of children. Is it really all that necessary to medicate children for ADHD? And the problem beyond that is, for context, the most effective or the most commonly prescribed medication for ADHD is an amphetamine. So any child that is diagnosed with ADHD and then prescribed this stuff is essentially zombified. They lose a lot of their personality because this drug just suppresses everything. And that was mostly the point in the documentary, was to actually look at, is it necessary? What is the point in doing it? And why do they do it? And it really made an important point of doing an experiment with one of the children where he was taken off his medication, diagnosed with ADHD, and taken off his medication for a period of time. I think it was 6 weeks, to see what difference it made to him. And he went from, initially, he went onto the medication and got the diagnosis because he was battling in school. He couldn't sit still, all the trademark ADHD symptoms. And so his mother took him to the doctor, got him diagnosed, got him the medication, and he was on that for a while. Then at the time of the documentary, the doctor took him off his medication for a 6-week period to test the difference of him before and after medication, or with and without medication. And what they found was the child got happier. He became more himself. As his mother described him, he was himself again. She got her son back. And yes, towards the end of the experiment, his school was concerned because his performance slipped. He became more easily distracted, a bit more rambunctious in the classroom, things like that, the trademark symptoms. But even the teacher herself marked that she'd rather teach him like that than not teach him, because at that point that child is no longer himself. So we are essentially prescribing children and diagnosing children with these labels and drugs and giving them all these things for being a little bit different. And it moves me on to a point off the documentary, is that the way I see it, we kind of have taken everything to an extreme. We have pathologized individual difference. There's this new idea that everybody's got to be cookie cut, and it ignores the fact that maybe some kids are just different. Some kids aren't really academic. Some kids prefer to learn a certain way. Some kids just need a little bit extra attention. You see, when it comes to children, it's not one size fits all. Every child learns differently. They have different personalities, different experiences. This cookie cutter scheme that they got really doesn't work. I mean, yes, I suppose as classes grow, because population grows, so do class sizes, you're going to have more and more interference from louder, more obnoxious children. But at the end of the day, why is it that a child can maybe act up in class and the first thing we do is fill them with amphetamines? It does make you wonder why, in a time where we have more understanding of mental health, cognitive health, and just individual differences, why we're still relying on pharmacology for things that all we have to do is adapt our teaching or adapt how we're raising our children. But it comes down to laziness and money making. It's easier to drug a child, and it makes money by prescribing and generating this wealth. Look at all these brands, Pfizer and all the others, AstraZeneca. They're all medication companies, and most of them have their fingers in many pies. Just look at America and the OxyContin. They were literally giving the doctors money to prescribe OxyContin. But we seem to forget that very quickly when it comes to labels. It's one thing having an opioid painkiller and pushing that, and we all stand up and go, oh, that's not good, they're causing an addiction. But we all sit idly by when they're dishing out antidepressants to everyone. We stand idly by when they're giving hormone blockers to children. We stand by and just go, oh, well, that's because he's a naughty kid, that we go and give them amphetamines. When are we going to wake up and realize that this is much larger than just, oh, well, he's got ADHD? Nothing will ever change if we keep pathologizing human behavior. Every little human trait that's a little bit different from the baseline means that there's something wrong with you. You maybe struggle a little bit with eye contact and emotional processing, you must have autism. Okay, do you have autism, or do you just have a problem with social connection? Some people just don't make eye contact all that well. Some people just don't emotionally process as the same as the rest of us. It doesn't make you vastly different. And yes, there are ways to scan for brain anomalies and to check for structures, but we don't do that in the assessment team. All the assessment team is they ask you a questionnaire and they go, yep, okay, you have this, you have that. They don't do any strict, rigorous experimentation to see if you have these things. They slap a label on you, they give you benefits, they give you some drugs, and they send you on your way. And this is incredibly damaging for our future generations, because at this point we're taking children that are either just different or maybe a little bit naughty and pathologizing that. Children are mischievous. Children are hard to control. The more of them you have in a classroom, the more difficult it is to control them. I went to school when there were 40 and 50 people in a classroom and 10 of them are making noise. But when we were smaller classes of 10, 15 students, you only got 1 or 2 that made the noise. Nothing's changed, you're just changing the probability of having a naughty child. I made a video a while back about gentle parenting, so I'm going to touch on parenting styles again. And mind you, I am not a developmental psychologist, I didn't do child psychology, I am not a parent. But I know enough about adult psychopathology to know that what you do as a parent to that child makes them the adult that they are. And what I mean is adverse childhood events, so trauma, neglect, anything that pretty much messes the child up is down to you as a parent. What you teach them, the resilience and the skills that they learn from you, the nurturing, the good stuff that you can provide them is what causes them to grow up as functioning, healthy, strong and resilient adults. And if you're not doing what you need to do to raise a strong, resilient adult, then you're failing then you're failing as a parent. And this goes to teachers as well. Teachers have become increasingly soft, and they, again, back to the cookie cutter, every child gets treated as an equal. But not all children are equals. They have equal rights. That doesn't make them a carbon copy of each other. The point I'm trying to make is there are individual differences, so every child is different. Giving them this cookie cutter approach, raising them as though there's something wrong with them, or neglecting some of their needs, whether you know it or not, is going to fuck them up. And this is why we have an increase in children with ADHD, children that are diagnosed with ASD. And don't get me wrong, I'm not calling out ASD, but we keep shifting the criteria to become more and more sensitive. It's going to come to the point where being neurotypical is the minority, because every little quirky trait, every little fixation, every little thing, they are ruling as ASD or ADHD, and it just doesn't work like that. You cannot keep widening the criteria to suit an agenda. And I can guarantee it's an agenda because you see it more in Britain than anywhere else. And what do we have that no one else has? A welfare state. You see, when a child is developing, their brain is completely and utterly malleable. Every little decision, every word, every action, every reaction that you do shapes the personality of that child. Every little thing that you do or say or react, how you present yourself, what they see you do, is how they are going to develop. Whether you are, even without realizing it, you've had a stressful day at work, they've come up to you with their drawing and you go, yeah, okay, I'll look at it later. That is damaging, believe it or not. That dismissive sort of reaction that you're giving them is a form of rejection, and that, even if they don't remember it, goes in. So instead of driving your child to the doctor to get an ADHD diagnosis or an autism diagnosis, maybe look at how you parented for a start. Try and think back to your decisions and how your personality might shape them. And then you need to look at their screen time. What devices are they using? How long are they using them? And what are they consuming on those devices? Because you can look back at when we were children in the early 2000s and prior. Cartoons, for instance, were a lot darker. They were a lot slower. They had a lot less stimulation. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have tablets, and our gaming consoles weren't as advanced as they are today. You look at any child now, and anywhere from probably the age of 6, they've got a tablet to play video games while you're driving. They've got a tablet that you slap in front of them while they're eating. They've got a phone that you go and give them whenever they want video games while you're out and about. They're not getting any external stimulation from the world. They're not picking up a book and reading and using their imagination to form new worlds and develop characters. All they're doing is getting a digitally descripted person that you have no control over what they say, do, or act. And that child is just consuming this all the time. And I know that being a parent must be stressful and all the rest of it, but how often, instead of just paying a little bit of attention to them, do you just slap a tablet in front of them and then scroll on your phone? That is another form of rejection and negligence. And I don't care what anyone says, it is negligent. Because that child, when they look up from their screen, all they see is... And that is going to be extremely harmful because they're not perceiving their parental figure. Between them and you is a black little tablet like that, blocking their view of you. They're not mirroring your emotions. They're not learning from you. They're not sort of monitoring how you act and how you think and how you talk, because you're sitting there silent scrolling Facebook while they play Angry Birds. And that brings me back to the whole documentary again by Max Pemberton. ADHD is on the rise. Never ever before have we diagnosed ADHD as much as we have now. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, before you go and take them to the doctor's office and take the teacher's advice to get them diagnosed, have a look at what they're eating. How many sugars are they eating? How many simple carbs are they eating, which are also sugars, by the way? What are they consuming on the television? What are they looking at on their phones? What are they consuming on their tablets? How often and how long do they have these phones and tablets in front of them? There is nothing wrong with kicking them outside to play for a little bit. I know the world's more dangerous, but then monitor them. Do your job as a parent and monitor them. We live in a society that has never seen more paedophilia ever before. And why do you think that is? Because parents are clocked out. Children are consuming massive amounts of social media, and what's easier than to hide behind an alias or an avatar than on internet?